Right, so the gentleman you have there, James Rampton, and James Rampton's talking about how police forces are now being encouraged to reveal the ethnicity and nationality of anyone charged in high-profile cases. That's another thing about blooming time.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Eamon. I know that there will be civil rights groups that are a bit uneasy about this. There are also issues about contempt of court, but I think it has to be a sensible move because nature abhors a vacuum. When there was no information in the wake of the shocking killings in Southport last year, lots and lots of vile disinformation swirled around online, and I'm afraid to say it helped to foment the riots that so scarred this country last year. And then the police finally stepped in to say, no, it was somebody who was legally here, he was born in Britain, and that did help to cool the situation. And very interestingly, at the other terrible event that happened earlier this year, the car crashing into the crowd at Liverpool when they were celebrating their Premier League, the police, within about an hour, announced the ethnicity of the suspect because they knew that rumours would be whirling around, and again unsavoury elements might use that for their benefit, might use that to stoke discontent, stoke disharmony. There's a lot of disunity in this country already. It doesn't make much to throw some, sparks onto that kindling and create an inferno of disinformation. If this move can nip that in the bud, terrible mixed metaphor there, fires being nipped in the bud, but you could well see that things are stopped that might cause lots and lots of damage to people, and that's got to be a good thing.
So police are being advised to share ethnicity information, share nationality, not immigration status.
Yes.
Is that important for the public to know about someone's immigration status?
I think I can see why that is being advised, because there was a lot of noise last week about a case in Nuneaton where there were two suspects accused of raping a young girl, appalling case, and Reform UK said, we need to know about the immigration status, but that would have, again, only ramped up the tension that was already building around that case. The police must police without fear or favour. They cannot do something that could be used in a provocative manner by people on either side of the political divide. And if the revelation of the immigration status is going to cause some sort of conflagration, then I think it's right not to reveal it.
Also, these decisions are going to remain with the police forces themselves, so it is up to their own discretion whether they reveal someone's ethnicity and nationality. In that sense, do you think there's going to be pick-up for more transparency, or could this just be advice that's ignored? Well,
I do think that there will be a rolling effect. I think what happened in Liverpool immediately after that terrible incident at the celebration for the Premier League, I think that is a very good example of how you can stop things in their tracks, how you can prevent something from expanding into a disaster and where people's lives are at risk. So I think people would say, if I were in the police, I would say, that is how you do it. You stop things before they take off, and you do that by shutting down the rumours which are inevitably promulgated in the vile vortex of social media. So many horrendous people hang out there and just shovel in lies about what's happened. So you've got to, if you can stop that immediately, then that will really, really benefit people.
I like the way you talk, James. You see, I like that direct talking, straight talking, take from it what you will, whatever. And you deal with such rubbish. I mean, I had dealt with such rubbish this week about my dog, right? So myself and my wife are separated, and my wife had the dog on Sunday, and I had the dog on Monday. Just happened to be, right? But you get all these idiots on social media who go and say, that's not a real picture he's put on there, because I know for a fact the dog was with his mother-in-law yesterday, who lives 15 minutes up the road. Right. So, but people don't have cars in this day and age. They do a different thing on Sunday and Monday. And you just want to go and you say, what sort of idiot writes these? I mean, I would actually love to take these people on. But
well, they wouldn't say that to you in real life.
No.
Face to face. It's because
you're right, Ellie. You would say... You say things on social media that you would never, ever say to someone directly to their face. And for that reason, people might say I'm a terrible journalist. I'm not on any social media at all. I just think I get very good...
missing much.
I'm old school. I get all the information I need from the newspapers, from GBNews, other great TV outlets. Why do I need this constant cacophony of white noise, most of it inaccurate, bombarding me when I can make my own decisions reading a newspaper?
Are you not then regarded as slightly prehistoric? You see, I like what you said there.
Totally.
I'm old. You see, I'm old school. What's wrong with being old school? As if it is some awful thing. In previous generations, it would have been called experience. Right, you would have had experience. You would be a learned person within that community, whatever. Now you're just old and out of touch. It doesn't make you wrong.
No, you're right, Eamon. There's a terrible cult of youth in this country, and I speak as someone who long ago passed the age of 60. And I think the sort of deification of young people. It's great that we celebrate young people, but it doesn't mean that old people have no role. And you're right, experience is vital. In journalism, you get offered a story and you can immediately tell whether or not it's going to fly just through experience. And you shouldn't throw all that out just because there's this obsession with the new and what's trendy and what's young and what trousers are people wearing and what's hot on the catwalks. For me, that is all fluff and nonsense. I am really revealing my age here, aren't I? Well, I just have, actually.
Somebody very young is just telling me to shut up, basically.
Well, I'll phone you about it, Eamon, later.
You can make a phone call.
Using the internet without a VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. This video's sponsor is Private Internet Access. They are the VPN to help keep you safe. Click the link in the description below to find out why over 30 million people have downloaded PIA to protect themselves online. A virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and helps keep your data private. When you're browsing the internet at home, you give up a large amount of data to businesses, to shops, and indeed to social media giants too. Hackers have the ability to steal your personal data with ease, including sensitive information such as passwords, keystrokes, and even your personal photos. Private Internet Access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection to keep your data out of the hands of cyber criminals. And it's not just hackers either to be concerned about. Information can be censored too. When Canada passed their C18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news and content you love. Private Internet Access is available for Windows users, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one PIA subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices. And we've got a huge GBNews discount for you too. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get a massive 83% off PIA. That's under £2 a month, the price of a coffee, and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free on top. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Visit piavpn.com/GBnews to start protecting yourself digitally today.
Shoplifting situation, and the controversial thing about this is it is your job, you, the general public who are watching and listening this morning, if you've got a problem about shoplifting, you, this police chief is saying, should do something about that. So are you that good citizen, Norman?
This is Matthew Barber, the Tory Police and Crime Commissioner for Thames Valley, who's making these suggestions. And I've got a little bit of sympathy in the sense that we can't leave everything to the police. We have a responsibility as members of society to uphold the law as much as the police do, and some extent. Well, some extent.
You'd inform the shop, probably, right?
Yes.
But I don't think that you should be encouraged to intervene.
No, I agree with
Tackle a
that.
shoplifter.
I agree with that. But you could take a picture on your phone or things like that.
Yeah.
But in any case, I mean, the problem is that this has got out of hand. The problem is that the police have not been enforcing the law against shoplifting for quite some time. The criminal fraternity has now concluded it's risk-free. People are reporting in the paper now, walking into somewhere like Greg's, picking up something, walking out, no one's challenging them.
Exactly. But Norman, you and I may moan and groan about this and whatever it is, but this is not going to change, and it's not going to change on the basis of budgetary restrictions, I would suggest to you.
No, it's probably not. But, I mean, we ought to go back to the stage, if we can somehow afford it, where there are local police officers in our street that
Well, it's
people
going to be
know.
3,000 more now.
Shopkeepers ought to know who the local police officer is. We should know these people on the beat. That's how it used to be. And the local criminals will know who the local police officer is. Those days have gone. The police now are either not there at all or they're in cars somewhere. They're not on the streets.
This is an endemic problem. It really is. I've witnessed it in many shops. People just coming in, grabbing what they want, and it's got nothing to do with them being impoverished, living in poverty or whatever. They're doing it for greed, and they're doing it for resale, and they're doing it not with their own need because they can't afford it.
But also, Claire, could I say that apparently, from my understanding, is you can nick up to 200 quids with the stuff.
Yes, without being charged by the shop. But also, we've just had the shopkeeper who was arrested for putting scumbags, calling people who nick the stuff scumbags, and yet he was arrested.
Could I just say, in retaliation to that, here we are. Hello, yeah. Could we just say?
Yeah.
I think that's very funny.
Yeah.
Scumbags. All you stealing scumbags out there. Oh, we're in trouble now. They're going to send the police round for us now. That'll be it.
Well, I'll give them your number, will I?
Okay, do that.
Do that. Anyway, I agree. I don't think we can, because a lot of the people who have been stealing the stuff I've witnessed are high on drugs, right? We don't know what they have. So I don't think people should put themselves in personal danger to intervene. We do have a civic responsibility, and we're being passed that cost of shoplifting on to us anyway. So we're paying for it.
Would you intervene in a shop if you saw someone shoplifting?
No.
No, would I? Because I wouldn't know if they had anything on them.
Because I don't know what they're on.
No, but I think I'd intervene if, for example, there was a man hassling a woman on a tube. I think I'd intervene in that situation because someone's being threatened. I think that's a different situation from, say, shoplifting.
James, what do you make of our top story today? We're talking about police forces being told to share suspects' nationality and ethnicity, stopping short, though, of sharing their immigration status. What do you make of all of this?
Well, clearly this is a reaction to two pretty major events that happened in the past 12 months. The first, of course, was the Southport killings and the misinformation, the disinformation that spread online about that. And, of course, the police's inability or unwillingness to produce information about the ethnicity of that. The second, of course, was the Liverpool car attack earlier this year, in which the police force there moved very quickly to get it out there that the person involved was white, in contrary to some of the rumours online. So I think that, look, the problem is, of course, is how do you ensure consistency of standards? And there'll be some times where the police are more reluctant for whatever reason. It might be a case involving national security or sort of intelligence, etc., to release any information. But I do think this is the necessary step needed to be taken because, frankly, otherwise online in a digital age, this lack of information, this complete vacuum that's allowed to spread, and the police's unwillingness to share information, which, of course, they were very happy to go out before 2012 when we had Leveson, I think is the obvious thing to do.
The biggest shake-up to policing guidelines in a generation. This is police forces being told that they have to share suspects' ethnicity and nationality, or at least being advised to do so. They don't need to share the immigration status of someone who is accused of a crime. Do you not think that the British public have a right to know whether or not someone has the right to be here or not?
So I would really welcome the openness and transparency of giving that information about ethnicity and nationality at the point of charge. We will give names and addresses often at that point, but in these high-profile cases, it's absolutely right that that transparency is there and that the information is provided. In terms of asylum seekers and the status of any claim they're making, it hasn't, under previous governments, been the way that things have been that information has not been given. However, I think it's clear the Home Office have made it plain that in future, in cases, that will be looked at and that information could be made available. We're working through now how that would actually work, but clearly transparency and openness is really important. It's what the Prime Minister have talked about and the Home Secretary. But it also has to be done in the context of not jeopardising any future court case. And we want to make sure that victims of crime see justice. And that's why we've asked the Law Commission to do a piece of work to make sure that we're not going to breach contempt of court proceedings and regulations. We've asked them to speed that up. And I very much welcome this guidance from the College of Policing to give that guidance to police forces, working with the CPS about what information should be provided.
And Chris, is that workable?
Yeah, potentially. I think it does sound right. I mean, I mentioned there that Dame Diana Johnson, you're saying there it's possible that they could be made available the immigration status. And is this only applying to high-profile cases or all cases? Because when police don't release information, that will fuel suspicions of a cover-up again.
Well, I think clearly the emphasis has been on the high-profile cases, hasn't it, where there's been a lot of misinformation put out on social media. So the idea is that we want to make sure we're as transparent and open as possible on those cases. Obviously, the vast majority of cases, people are not going to be looking at misinformation online about, but for those high-profile ones, we want to make sure that there is that openness.
You're here to talk to us about a named and contactable neighbourhood police officer in every community. Tell us a bit more about this plan.
So this is part of our 13,000 additional police officers in our communities in this Parliament, 3,000 by the end of this financial year. We've asked police, we've given them £200 million to do that, but we've also asked them to make sure by the end of July we have named officers for each neighbourhood, and we have a commitment that they will be responding to inquiries from the public within 72 hours. Clearly, if people have an emergency, they must ring 999, but this is for those issues that people are concerned about in their local community, antisocial behaviour. They want to report into the police, and then the police can respond. And I'm really pleased that this is now going to happen. I had a look last night on the Humberside website to make sure that my local force was doing this, and it absolutely is. And I've got the officers' names, and I can contact them, and they'll get back to me within 72 hours.
Well, good luck with your initiative. Thanks for your time, Dame Diana. We've got to leave it there and let you fiddle with your earpiece just in time. Thank you very much for persevering. Thank you.